Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Vone Kevitz, knit and crochet designer for one-of-a-kind makers who dare to be original. And thank you for joining me live here on YouTube. This is my first time, and I want to make sure that things are rolling. So let me just make sure I'm on YouTube and I see myself. And that's the ad. Hold on. There we go. I am. Okay. Cool. And sorry for the feedback, guys. All right. And then, of course, I shut YouTube off. This is what I tend to do. I tend to panic and I shut everything down. So I need to get back into my screen. I'm not sure if I can read your chats, if you guys are chatting and leaving any comments to me. And this is my first time being on live on YouTube. I got to get back to my channel. I want to get back to that page, but I got to pause that video so that the feedback isn't on, and it is live. And pause that. And I'm not sure if we'll see chats. So let's see. If you are watching me live, be sure to leave a comment so that I can see if it works or not, or how it works. So the reason why I wanted to get on here, so again, I'm Vone Kevitz, knit and crochet designer for one-of-a-kind makers who dare to be original. And the reason why I chose to pick this platform to go live on weekly is because I've been doing, since for this year, I've been doing creative interviews for my YouTube channel, and I've been recording them every Saturday at 11:30 or at 11 and 12:30. And so those are my two appointments that I would batch meetings with other makers. And I've just wrapped my final appointments or meetings with these creative makers. And so I was wondering, how do I fill my Saturday mornings? And that was kind of the reason why I stopped filming. I wanted to take a break from filming the rest of this year, those interviews, because I wanted to make space to do other things and to figure out what else I can work on and try and see. And not less than a week, because just last Saturday I wrapped, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm gonna go live on YouTube every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and just to chat with other makers and see if you guys are working on anything, if you have any questions, if you have any wins to celebrate. I'm a big time celebrator, so I would definitely on board and celebrating big wins, small wins, and everything. So, oh yes, it works. Sarah, I see you. Thank you so much for putting in a comment so I can see the comment. This is so exciting. Sarah is from the Pamper Treasures, and this is actually why I wanted to practice this one, because on Monday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sarah and I will be on live at 6 a.m. on Instagram and on YouTube on this channel. And so that's why this is a great practice run for me to get here. And Sarah, I think I figured it out how you and I can get on this on YouTube too. Sarah also has I got 2 big orders this week. That's awesome. That's a big win. She got 2 orders for Pamper Treasures. Sarah makes bath bombs, and I have a pattern with her inside the Yarn Treasure bath bomb kit. So if you could put the link in there, that would be great to your shop and to your to our Yarn Treasure bath bomb set. So okay, so I was able to minimize. I can see my screen. This is perfect. And yeah, I'm excited. Okay, so this is what I want to end up trying to do every Saturday. Meet here with you guys at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and basically answer any questions you guys have. And so I did take a survey on Instagram for questions that you guys wanted me to discuss today, and I will get to that very shortly. But I want to talk about something that every Friday evening after work, my model and I go grocery shopping together, and we batch our grocery shopping night to Friday nights, and it just worked out better for us. And we've been doing this for, I want to say, over a year. I'm not really sure of the time frame, but we absolutely love it, and um, it's streamlined our schedule so much more. And um, so I had a revelation last night in chatting with her about my schedule and my energy level, and I was like, and it, because when I first started Vone Knits way back 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I've lost track now. My Etsy shop, internet was brand new, and then I learned how to get on Etsy. I learned about Facebook. I learned about Instagram, and I was doing all these things in the Facebook group, the Dare to Be Original Facebook group, and I was learning all this stuff. I was engaging in all this stuff, Twitter, Pinterest, everything. Like, my mind was like on full speed of learning social media and marketing and just getting myself out there and just being comfortable. And not to mention making, like, I'm a physical maker. I make scarves, and now venturing out into handbags and accessories and everything. But I was like, where did I find time to do all that? Because I have a full-time day job. And so I was doing all that. And then for like the second year of doing it, I created a handmade creative mastermind for like 13 masterminders, where it was an intimate year that we had together. And I was fully engaged in that for a year. And I'm like, how did I get all this energy to do everything? And then I got really, really sick, took a long pause, and just shut everything down. Like, not physically shut everything out. Mentally, my mind was still going, but my body just was not like up to it. And so I took a long pause, and now I've come back. I feel rejuvenated. I'm a lot healthier. I'm taking way better care of myself. I'm eating. I'm doing everything right. I'm sleeping. I'm maintaining my stress, not letting social media take over, like everything, right? So, but the one thing I can't seem to get back on is my energy to create and to make and produce. And I'm wondering, like, where did I have that energy before? Because I used to have it and I don't have it anymore. And I was talking about it with my model last night, and it dawned on me, because we had just stopped for Starbucks, and we've given up Starbucks a long time ago, um, for a multitude of reasons. But probably for the quick answer is, I don't want to be drinking coffee at night, and keeping me up. But hey, my model jumped on. You caught me live. Nan, did you see me start this? This was crazy, but I'm actually on it now. So yeah, so I was talking. So that's my model there. So talking, I realized, like, the reason why I was able to maintain that energy at that schedule, at that high capacity that I was uh, working in and functioning in, was because I was waking up to coffee, going to bed with coffee. I would come home and make a huge glass. Like, this is my coffee for the day. I got up at 5 a.m. I started this, and here I'm at here. And what this is just one K cup and a whole lot of water and some almond milk in there. And so I would drink this with all the sugars and all the creams at night, in the morning, all throughout the day at work. And then I would come home and I would drink this as my dessert. And then I would be off to getting on the camera, editing photos. Like, I was doing whatever I needed to do as a solopreneur. If you guys are, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I had all this energy, but I was running my body to the ground. Like, I was destroying my stomach lining, hence my disease got into its full effect. And then I got so sick that I literally could not function. And that's when when I had that light bulb revelation about the reason why I was able to function at that speed was manufactured by caffeine. I like it totally like made me feel so much better last night because I was like, lately I've been silently berating myself, wondering why don't I have energy? Like, why can't I do all the things that I used to be able to do and do it strategically and smart and, and conscientious while taking care of myself, while, going to sleep, while eating well. Like, where is all this energy? I want to do all these things and I'm not. And I'm like been berating myself as to why I didn't have this energy like I used to after work. And I realized that, like before, it was like, am I getting older? Like all the other things, as the excuse. But that's when I realized I'm like, it was because it was manufactured and that wasn't the right way to function. And with that came this grace. So now that I have that grace and this light bulb of as to why, I can move past questioning why and figure out another way to um, harness my energy, you know, in a better way. And so that's why. So if you guys are coffee addicts, uh, let me know in the comments, and share your stories, I guess. Um, Now that I know that is, I've always known coffee was my downfall, and that's why I've worked very hard to back off and slow down from it, and hence my watered down coffee flavored drink in the morning. Um, but so now that I know that the old energy was manufactured that way, I have to figure out a new way to better harness my energy. One of the things is getting up early in the morning and working on VK stuff before I go to my regular day job, because I've realized that I knew that I couldn't do anything after work, or anything productive after work. If I was going to do anything on a high level of productivity for myself and my improvements, it would be on my time first thing in the morning before I went and gave my time to other people. And so that's why I started a very rigorous morning routine at 5 a.m. And some days I sleep past it. Some days I go back to sleep, and some days I opt for rest over productivity. But for the majority of the time, I try to do that. So that was just my recent thing. So now we're going to go on to questions. So I did get some questions, and I wanted to pull up my phone. And so one of the questions that I got from Sarah, actually, she sent me, says you're waiting out, but found me. All right, so this is the thing about popping on social media, right? Because whatever you intend to do, you end up never doing that. You always end up doing other things. So what was my question? Sarah had asked, what is your favorite social media platform? So my favorite social media platform is, drum roll, Instagram. Of course, Instagram, because it's instant and it's my online lookbook. For the longest time, I used Instagram. I always tell people, the newbies, to use Instagram like your own magazine. If you are going to create a magazine around your life, your business, your whatever you're using Instagram for, that is your magazine. You are the editor, you are the owner, you are the photographer, you do all that stuff. And how do you want it to show to the world? Because that's the thing about social media. You are showing it to the world. You are going public. And it always fascinates me that people have business accounts about their brands, and then they just show their cat, like, or themselves in some kind of a compromising position somewhere, and that has nothing to do with your brand or your business. And I get that you want to show an inside look at yourself, but at the same time, dark, dingy photos of your cat will not sell your product unless you're selling stuff for cats in the dark. You know what I mean? So that's what I would like to remind people about social media. If you're going to use it for your business, and be mindful of that. And some people don't care, and I'm like, and all the more power to you if you don't care, you know. But it do know that as a customer looking at your business page like that, it will confuse them. So but the great thing about Instagram is now they have stories, and you can do all that instantaneous stuff that go away, that disappear, like your dark cat photos. You can do all that in stories and they disappear. Like me the other day, messing up, going live to announce me going live, and I go and I couldn't say the word. I forgot what the word, simultaneously, and I went live and I could not come up with the word simultaneous. Like I started with simultaneous and then I got stuck in a loop where I couldn't fix it. So I was like filming a bunch of stories laughing at myself, you know, laughing at myself once I realized the real word was simultaneous. and basically, like, the old me would have never shared that stuff. The old me would have just like crawled into a rock and died because I suffer from perfectionism. But I'm starting to practice what I preach, and that is to live in the imperfection, and that's where all the magic happens, is in the imperfections, because with imperfections there's growth, and when you're growing, you're moving and you're expanding and you're becoming better. And and that's actually what Sarah and I talked about on last week's live, which we could not save and go and make it public, and therefore that's why we're changing platforms. Actually, we're adding 2 platforms now. We're going to be live on Instagram and on YouTube so that we can save it, and so people that miss it, they can share it and catch it and watch it. But we were talking last week about this week doing the uncomfortable things and being comfortable in the uncomfortability, and being comfortable in uncomfort. And so that obviously this week meant me going live and sitting in my imperfections and my mistakes and my lack of what is it called, the performance issues. Because actually, if you look at that live video, I think it might not be on anymore, or I'm not sure if I upload it anywhere to IGTV or not. But I was like, if you caught that live, you could have seen my face in full uh, terror when I knew I was not going to get the right word. Like, it was not coming out. The the answer that I needed was not happening, and so I was going to be stuck um, in this imperfection. And so you could see the terror and probably the white just coming right into my skin, and I lost all color. So if you do watch any of my creative interviews, you guys, if you're a maker and you're not watching these creative interviews, you need to be. I interview a bunch of makers, ordinary women doing extraordinary things, to show what that looks like to everyone. And so everyone who has these dreams and desires in their heart to want to do something bigger than themselves, they are always riddled with fear and doubt, and crippling fear and crippling doubt. And then all the excuses come in, and you're like, why you won't start it, or why you can't pursue it, or why you won't finish it, why you won't continue it, or just all these things of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not creative enough, I'm not wise enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not fast enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not bright enough, I'm not, all kinds of excuses that you have. I don't have time, I'm too busy, I'm everything, right? So the reason why I created this channel and showed those, decided to get together with makers and share their stories, and ask for their tips, on how they do the things that they do on an ongoing basis, how they keep showing up for themselves, and what that looks like. And I have interviews between all age ranges. So really, really young in her 20s, and I don't think I have anybody in the teens yet. But if anybody is in a teen and you're a maker, or like these YouTube videos, these YouTubers that I learn half of my YouTube information on are by little kids. Like, if any of you are watching and you want to me to interview, if I'm blessed enough to interview you guys, like, reach out to me, send a comment, and let me know who you are. And I would absolutely love to interview how you run a successful YouTube channel under the age of 10, which always blows my mind. So the reason why, so I show these, and I have always just had conversations. Like the earlier ones, you could see me just having a conversation with them. And then this year, I strategically had set certain questions in place to kind of help facilitate the conversations better and to draw out some gold from these interviews. And so I wanted to, so the questions I ask are, who are you? Obviously, to introduce themselves. And how did you get started on your creative journey is one of them. So since I've never asked myself these, I figure I'll take this first live to introduce myself as if my own first creative interview that I'm doing my own. So how I got started on my creative journey was probably, I can't tell you. I've always been creative. I've always like drawn, make, and everything. And I think my aunt, who is like a master of all trades in all things creative, like she does everything. She makes her own clothes. She does all of her own decorations. She's done Barbie dresses out of knit and crochet. She's never once read a pattern in her life, but she could look at something and basically duplicate it and make it better in any form, any craft, anything. 2D, 3D, everything. So I think that's like deep in my DNA somewhere, because that's my daddy's little sister. So fast forward to, I got married and I thought I needed a craft. And therefore I was like, let me see this thing about crochet and knitting and yarns and everything. And I retook it and loved it. It came very natural to me. And then I made a bunch of things and I crocheted a lot. And that's why I'm a crochet master, because there's nothing in crochet world that I couldn't do. The only thing is, do I have time to do everything? So that's how my creative journey started, and I just fell in love with it, and I would make 24/7. And my big why for pursuing a solopreneur lifestyle is, my whys change, but I think it is probably the biggest why that I have for pursuing this solopreneur lifestyle right now has always been, I used to think that it would to work for myself and to have my own, to be my own boss, to have freedom, time freedom, money freedom, and all that stuff. But my why has evolved so much bigger when I branched out into making and sharing in this online community with all these amazing makers, and seeing the fears and the doubts that I have for myself. Everybody else was riddled with it too, and all the lack of confidence and insecurities that we all have to pursuing better versions of ourselves was innate in everybody. And once I realized that I was not the only one struggling with it, I wanted to help other people with those struggles too. So I'm not here preaching on a soapbox saying that do this, do that because it's better. I'm saying do this, do that because I'm trying it myself and it's working or it's not working, and I'm sharing it with everybody. And that's been my biggest thing is, so every struggle that I have, I try to figure out a solution, and then I share the solution with anybody who may be struggling with it. And in that pursuit and seeing all the different changes and the improvements that people have made because of what I've chosen to share, my vulnerabilities and imperfections that I'm sharing with everybody, to watch them improve because they've implemented those things that I've shared, it's it's brought me so much joy and so much reward. I can't even tell you. It's above me now that the things that I do that hold me back, I just do it because I know it's helping others. And so, like, just right now doing these live videos now is committing to these Saturday live videos and committing to the Monday 6 a.m. live videos with Sarah at Pamper Treasures, is because we want to help. You know what I mean? We want to help creators and creatives um, go past their own roadblocks and pursue the best versions of themselves. And that's my why in pursuing a solopreneur lifestyle. Like, that became my why, and it became bigger than money and time and all that stuff, because I just knew that um, it's bigger than myself. So I live in fear, or I live past fear or through fear, because I know I'm helping somebody else, you know. And what is my making process? So my making process starts with me getting an idea, seeing something, looking at something, you know, and trying it out. I support a lot of pattern writers because I love, like, to help newbie designers and get and read patterns, but I don't read patterns to follow patterns. And this is where, like, I read patterns to learn stitches, to learn techniques, to learn different things. And then I rarely finish an actual pattern. This is why I rarely volunteer to test patterns, because I I think I have, like, ADD about following somebody's pattern to the T. I just want to always make my own version somehow and veer off. Like, I think I did somebody a test pattern, mittens, and I ended up doing gloves, or vice versa, because it just and then I ended up giving her that pattern as a freebie so that she can use it as a complimentary, to the pattern that she was creating. I just, that seems to be my making process, is to see something and then try to duplicate it and improve it as I go. And do I have any tips for newbie makers? So many great tips. This is the reason why I took a break from filming new interviews, because I wanted to sit back and go through the older interviews, all the interviews that I've had, and I want to curate the best of the information that all these makers have shared, and kind of repurpose them in a way where I can share them in a concise form of these tips, because there are so many great tips. The one coming up on Monday's episode with Lacey Pulford, oh my God, or JC Lee Pulford, the author of The Glitter Effect and Hello Awesome Ministries. I just finished rewatching that to get ready for Monday's YouTube release. Her tips were amazing, and I think one of the biggest ones, and I absolutely agree with her, is grace. Have grace with yourself as a newbie maker. It's probably the best tip that I have. People who want to start something new are always inspired by people who have already done it, right? So we see something that we want and we try to create it, or we try to mimic that, or we want to be that, or we want to emulate that. But I look at every newbie adventure, look at any new thing that you are doing, including starting a business, including starting your own shop or trying to sell your own handmade stuff, or just even taking on a new skill, learning a new language, doing anything, learning a new program, getting live on YouTube, trying to figure out the apps that go with it, technology, anything new in your world. Imagine a toddler learning to take their first step. You're a toddler learning to take your first step. You get up and you're weeble wobbly. You're like, you've been holding on to things for a while, and then you finally take that one step without holding on anything, and you're like walking like a drunken sailor, trying to make that first step, and you make that first step, and you're still balancing, and you're still up, and you haven't fallen. and the look of joy on your face, any parent that gets to witness that, or any adult that gets to witness that and seeing their first step. That's why we celebrate a toddler's first step, right? Because we're like, oh my God, that's a huge monumental achievement that child has done. And so you're clapping and you're cheering. And then can you imagine any adult watching that very first step, instead of clapping and cheering, you say, why didn't she run? When is she going to run that race? When is she going to run? Why isn't it a sprint? Why isn't that first step a sprint? You know, and that's what we do. That's essentially what we do to ourselves every single time we start something new, and then we compare ourselves with that that great person, that person that's been in the journey for a while. I'm constantly reminding my hubby and anybody that talks to me about entrepreneurship, I'm constantly reminding them that, all these people that have all these followers, this money, everything, fame and speed of the things they do. I'm always like, well, what year are they in? How many years have they been doing it? How long have they started? That's the first thing I always ask. I always ask that, because if I'm going to set myself in a comparison, like a comparison platform, the first thing I always ask is, where are they on their journey? And how far out there is it from where I'm at? And the moment you do that, that's when you realize, like, take a step back for a second. You weren't there when they were taking their first step. You weren't there the way you look right now at your first step. You know what I mean? All your fears and all your doubts and all your mistakes. Like, you weren't there when they did that. You know what I mean? You're watching them there and they're like running miles. Like, that's probably my best tip for any newbie maker is have grace with yourself and enjoy the first steps. Enjoy the fall, because the fall means you get up. And the great thing about being new is you can fall a billion times at anything. Like me having grace with myself for jumping on this, trying to get on this live, and like blowing it because technology and Google Hangouts, and I'm trying to figure out how to work it. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to restart it and reset it, and then people will find me, and life will move on. And I can choose to delete it. I can choose to share it. I can choose to do whatever. We have all those choices. So it's never the end of the world. That is my best tip for any newbie maker. Do I have any habits and rituals that I do daily? I ask this question because I'm always curious to find out if these amazing makers have any things that they streamline their schedule with, because we are made to be habitual creatures. Like, we don't think about brushing our teeth anymore. We just do. It's habit. You know what I mean? We do certain things, like we drive to work. We drive on the same route to our destination every day. Like, if you go to work every day, you just do the same thing over and over again. Anything you do, the same thing over and over again. It's a habit. And so it's to basically free up our mind from not having to think of, okay, I need to brush my teeth, and how do I do that? One step at a time. And you know what I mean? Like, so that our brain is not constantly thinking of every action that we take. And so that's why it's stored into a long-term memory where it's just constantly habitual. And anything that you can do that's good habits and good rituals that help you streamline your day, that is a win for your brain. That's a win for your time. That's a win for your stress. And then at the same time, habits have a negative effect. You can habitually do bad things, that can take over, that can eat up time. And so that's my quest every day, is to constantly figure out what my bad habits are, change them, implement good habits, and trying to continue with those good habits and rituals. So one of them, my biggest one right now, is I've been doing it since February, is not hitting the snooze button. And that was for, it seems like it might not seem like a big win for you, but for me that was a huge thing, because for decades I live off the snooze button. I can snooze 5 times without even realizing the first 3 were snooze buttons. Like, I could just ignore the first 3 snoozes. That's how crazy it is. I've changed my alarm clock to the bathroom, where I charge my phone in the bathroom, and have to get up and hit the snooze button, come back to bed, and then wait for the next snooze button. Like, that's how habitually like ingrained, the snooze button is for me. That to finally, when I decided that I wanted to wake up early and get these things that I pursue my best self in the morning, and to create a good morning routine for myself, was how was I going to get up early and how was I going to not hit that snooze button. So that was all my energy was focused on that. It wasn't to create the best morning. It wasn't to create, all my energy was just in not hitting the snooze button. And I no longer hit the snooze button. It took great effort in the beginning, but it was the best reward that I've ever given myself. And now I no longer snooze. Um, and as a side effect of that, I was able to realize, I'm like, I need more time. I need more time. So then therefore I kept moving up the hour, the 30 minutes. And before you know it, I'm up 3 hours before I even need to go to work. And those 3 hours are all mine for me, you know? And that's a habit and a ritual that I do every morning that I've just learned to cherish. And lastly, how do I invest in myself? The biggest thing I like to share is I love taking classes. I love learning. It's funny because growing up, I've always had gone to school. I was never like, I didn't love school. I was good at school. I got all A's. I honor student, top 10 class, like all that stuff, because I had to, I was just, and I just wanted to excel and be the best version. And I wanted to, so I've always like gotten really good grades, but I was never a learner. I was a great test taker, and I'm a great I follow directions very well, and I am a well-behaved human being at the time, so I followed the rules. So therefore I got good grades, but I was never really a learner. And it wasn't until I'm all done and I'm working and I do this that I'm realizing every day that I love learning. Now I'm a constant learner, and I'm constantly trying to educate myself and trying to improve myself and trying to figure out the best tips and tricks on how to be my best version. But not only that, just even crazier. Oh, thank you so much. Who's doing all this? Oh, I just saw somebody. Etsy shop. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Somebody just, I think it's my hubby. Bunny, are you on here? Sharing, look at my Etsy shop link. If you guys have any, if you want to go check out my Etsy shop, that would be, thank you for putting that link in there. Awesome. Congrats. I'm not sure who did that. Pampered Crats on YouTube big orders. I think it is my hubby. Bunny, if that's you, thank you so much for doing that. So, speaking of my hubby, who's on John Kevitz on Acquire Liberty, he's got a YouTube channel. He's right next to, if you're under my main page, you can see my featured accounts that I love, and that's his channel. So go check out his channel and show him some love. I'm gonna have him on. He wanted to be on this live, but I was so nervous that I didn't. I wanted to figure out the technology before I invited him on or had him come on, and it's going to be so much fun. So if you guys stay tuned next Saturday, I think we're going to get him on. Hopefully he'll come on and do this live with me, and then maybe you'll see more of us and how we pursue this online world. But so yeah, I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly educating myself, and that's my best investment to myself, is reading books, taking free webinars, uh, finding out, like, I sign up for a billion webinars, and then if the mentor or the instructor I'm not resonating with, then I'll just unsubscribe. I'll just, and if I find something valuable, I'll keep them in my subscription. I'll do all that. And because we have full control of everything that we do, we are autonomous beings. There's no excuse that we have in this world that we're not controlled. There's nothing in your mind that you didn't allow in there. There's nothing on your body that you're not allowing. There's nothing going inside your body that you're not allowing. We have full control of ourselves, including the information that we take in. And so that is how I invest myself, is I'm careful with the information that I take in, and I take in a lot of information. I'm a constant learner. So I think that's gonna wrap it up. So this is my first live. I think I've talked enough. And um, y'all, if you catch this on the replay, leave your questions. Find me on Instagram, leave me some DMs, and send me questions if on any topics you want to talk about. And I will be here live every Saturday talking about this stuff. I will be here live to talk about the latest makers and the latest things that I've learned, the latest books, the latest lessons I've learned. And I have so many awesome things to share that that I can't wait to use this platform to do. And join Sarah and I live on Monday at 6 a.m. If you think that you're not one of those people that Eastern Standard Time, so I'm not talking to the West Coast people that don't have, I don't want you up at 3 a.m. to try to catch our live. Watch us afterwards and then start your week right. Sarah's going to be sharing a motivational quote, and then we talk about that quote and we reflect on it, and then we figure out a way to pursue our best week with the first step, and that is getting on there and talk about something uncomfortable, because I'm an introvert. Sarah is naturally shy. We do the things, we're not opting to get up at 6 a.m. to turning the camera on ourselves and being vulnerable and being exposed like that, but we do it because we want to help and motivate and encourage people to be their best versions and to show what it looks like at 6 a.m. on a Monday morning, at least in my household and in her household. All right. I think that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. Hopefully this works. Hopefully I can figure out a way to make it go to my channel. And so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit share, leave comments. If you have any questions, definitely put them in. I will talk about just about any topic and give my feedback on. All right. Until next week, Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless, guys. Bye.